Players know the team. They were told yesterday morning before travelling. They also know they have to give their fluctuating season a silver lining.
Up for
the cup. At Chelsea sometimes things can be lost in translation, but this week their multilinguals have been singing from the same hymn sheets. Sort of. There's been quality time in the recording studio. 2 whole hours.
Now the blue tomorrow gets closer each day.
I know that was difficult. Well done.
Another tradition came much more naturally, even if it did mean signing another Italian. Liverpool's white suits of '96 were not the genuine Armani. This year the style guru personally supervised everything. Why not an English tailor?
We're not an English club.
You really look like a top model.
No, I'm just joking.
Frango, are you in the back row, the front row, or middle row, or your own row?
It's the best place. Sometimes I'm in England, sometimes I'm abroad, and definitely the same goes for the tailors.
Bella squadra. Thank you, Mr. Armani.
Suits you, Mario.
I love this.
And by Wednesday, the Dutch defender Melchiot's was starting to think about a place in the team. Down on the shop floor, unlucky Albert Ferrer was facing up to missing out, even if his dodgy ankle was in the truest of blue hands.
In '94, we said that if we won the FA Cup against Man United, we was going to get it done, me and my brother. So in '97, when we did win it, we got it done. So I'm hoping for a 2000 underneath this year.
If Ferrer isn't going to be the first Spaniard to play in an FA Cup final, Tor Andre Flo is the first player surely to prepare by tying the knot. Married to Randi last Monday in Norway, Flo returned to reveal love has conquered all.
She used to support Aston Villa, but ever since I came to Chelsea, she's supported Chelsea and nobody else.
It's the last final at Wembley. There's plenty of reasons, and the obvious reasons as well for it to be a very important match. It's our season.
Nothing quite like cup final day, is there? Now, as we go through the day, we'll be taking a look at some of the outstanding players who will be on show in the final this afternoon. Playing in this cup final is something that Chelsea's George Weah has set his heart on.
For nearly 15 years now, he's been scoring for fun. Few appreciate the joys of the game more than George Weah. Football his path from poverty in Liberia to worldwide recognition. AC Milan may think he's past his prime. Wembley's the perfect place to prove them wrong.
For me, scoring goal is important, but it's not too important to me. The most important is I have a good game, play very well for the team. If I score a goal, that's something added. I'm very happy because goal is so difficult to score. So any goal I score, I'm happy. It might not be the most beautiful goal, but once it enters the back of the net, that's joy for me. Anything I do to promote Africa and Liberia, I think for me it's an honor. It's an honor. So I try to do my best, because I think people look up to us as role models, What we have, we have to share with other people, A lot of kids out there, they want to know what we do every day, and they want to be just like us, So the message we got, taking it to them and give it to them, in the form of, to be disciplined and hard work and all that, It's good. It's good to inspire people because we were inspired by other people. So, we're in the position we have to, carry on. People come from everywhere to watch the FA Cup. So it's not only... Oh, for Chelsea, it was nice. We all went to the studio to sing, People all around the studio doing a lot of crazy things. Well, it was a great day that day. We all joke, we have fun, We sing, Even though some of us may not be musicians, but I think, that's fun, and we enjoyed it. It was good.
If it's down to you, will we see you at Chelsea next season?
Yeah, why not?
You'd like to stay?
I'd love to stay.
Falling. Who's that young lad? Who's that skinny lad? Always another one.
You weren't carrying too much weight those days, Peter. You're not now, really, but...
That thought, no problem.
Yeah.
They're not quite Wembley there, look at the pitches. They'd have played on that, these lads, wouldn't they? That was White Hart Lane, wasn't it, the semi-final?
The pitches were a disgrace in those days, weren't they?
We
You
played
can't believe it.
We played at Queen's Park Rangers, then we
That's
played
Charlie Cook, isn't it, there?
Yeah.
Now that was the cup final replay, wasn't it?
That's Old Trafford, yeah.
At Old Trafford, yeah. The last time it was one away from Wembley. It'll be one away from Wembley next year. But good day for you and good times.
Great lads. I've just been with Chopper now down the road in the Hilton.
Yeah.
Going to go back and have a drink with him later on.
Didn't kick you or anything, did
No,
he?
he's my mate. Don't worry about that. No, he wouldn't kick me. He used to look after me, mate. Don't worry about that. So
Di Matteo against Middlesbrough. 42 seconds. Amazing. Before that, we reckon there was just a little slower.
Which will almost certainly mean an FA Cup debut in a final for the Dutch defender Mario Melchiot. Up front, we expect Tor-André Flo to be given the nod by Gianluca Vialli, but there's still the odd whisper that George Weah might have got the nod from the Italian coach. The Chelsea players will leave for Wembley in around an hour's time.
Big moment, very big prize. Chelsea's FA Cup.
The winners today will be the first of the new millennium, the last in front of the old Twin Towers. About 79,000. The days of 100,000 crowds here have long since gone. And for this last one, the crowd will be just over 79,000, we're told. And the weather pretty good at the moment. It was sunnier earlier. It's clouded a little bit, but we hope the rain will keep away.
Smashing hit. Crossed in towards Payet. Wise. Payet, hat-trick. Dennis Wise again for Chelsea. It's 6 for Chelsea, and their chairman, a happy half dozen on Humberside.
But will they be happy this afternoon? Now, these three will certainly be happy if they get the right result. I hope they can remember it later. And there we are. The pensioners are here, and the Villa fans as well. It's a carnival day, of course, at Wembley on Cup Final Day, and I hope you're going to enjoy it all with us. We're certainly going to enjoy ourselves. Here they are arriving, the Chelsea squad. Now, he's had a good season, hasn't he, De Hoy?
Excellent. He's had a really good season. He's a good decision maker. I don't think he's had many bad games this year.
No, I think you look at you talk about the foreigners coming into the game. I mean, if they can't play out there today, if they're not,
they'll be aware of the history of this cup, and it is worldwide. It's one of the only countries in the world where a cup competition is worldwide.
Even Leicester City was never likely to be a cruise, but Gustavo Poyet got them rocking before George Weah sent them reeling. A fitting first goal in the world's greatest cup competition for the man who was once the world's greatest player.
But does he play in the 11 today? We'll find out very shortly. Let's find out what some of the other players involved today are thinking now as we hear first from Aston Villa's Gareth Batver, sadly changed not for the better. Now, in the next part of the programme, we'll be featuring the two managers involved today, Gianluca Vialli and, of course, John Gregory.
Gianfranco, I suppose you never tire of coming to Wembley?
No. You never get tired doing that. It's a fantastic event, and you like to be involved all the time. So I'm really pleased to be back here.
How does the build-up compare to 3 years ago? How important is it to win today? The pressure and everything that surrounded the build-up.
Well, it's very important for us. We played a very good season, and if we don't win today, it would be really a pity because in the end we could end up without winning anything. And I do think that it would be a pity that case.
And up front with you today, is it George Weah or Tor-André Flo?
He hasn't told us yet, so we will see. I don't know if even if I'm playing, but I'm really pleased to be here anyway.
How about the challenge that Villa offer? It's their first final in, 43 years. It's so special today for them.
Yeah, I guess it's special, and I guess they're going to be up for it since the beginning. But we're ready to cope with that, and hopefully it's gonna be all right for us.
Good luck today.
Thanks. Thank you.
He says he doesn't know if he's playing yet. I mean, is that a bit of Italian cunning?
Lied and true, perfect professional footballing style.
Absolutely right. You admire him?
And as soon as his lips moved, I knew, I think he's a great player.
Yeah.
I think he's a fantastic talent, and he's one of the players I'm looking forward to watching today.
And Chelsea.
Poyet. Sutton. Where? Gus Poyet. Oh, sublime! Chelsea have the lead! Shearer faced by Lopez. Shearer to the byline. Shearer's cross. Lee! 1-1! And at long last, some Geordie joy at Wembley. Well, Bartlett is heels. Harley's cross. Poyet! Again! That is what the FA Cup still means. Chelsea are closing in on another final.
Well, that's certainly how they got here. Now, we saw Zola just now. We had a comment about him. We heard a rumour first and foremost that he wasn't going to play. Now I hear that he is going to play. Well, it would have been a big shock if he hadn't been in the 11, wouldn't it?
That's right. It was just a wicked rumour, was it?
It was a wicked, nasty rumour.
I'd have been very disappointed had he not started.
Well, you were looking so much forward to seeing him play anyway.
Yeah, I think I just left.
I couldn't have imagined them playing what it would have been Flo and Weah up front together. That wouldn't seem to fit, would it?
I think they need the trickery of Zola, because he can unlock things, he can make things happen.
It's about, not forgiving anything to us, because what we did in Europe in our first time there was something exceptional, and I think it should count when you try to describe our season. I think they don't forgive us to be foreigners sometimes, which is unfair, because we're not stealing anything, we're just trying our best to make English football a better game, and we're very loyal to the club, so we're just doing our job in the best possible way.
If you win at the weekend, do you think then the criticism will stop to an extent?
Yeah, probably for 1 week, 2 weeks, something like that.
Gianluca Vialli was a striking star at 17. Those closest to him tell of a workaholic obsessed with winning. He's made rapid progress as a coach. Only 3 years ago, Vialli, one of the lads, was on the outside looking in.
Did you really feel part of the success that day?
That was a difficult situation for me, because I was very pleased with the team reaching the final. But it's also, when you're on the bench, obviously you think you're being left out. But I was happy and lucky, because we managed to score twice, so I managed to play the last 5 minutes, and at the end of the match I was pleased like the rest of the team.
You have to make similarly difficult decisions this week with players.
Yes, I have to, and that's probably the most difficult thing in terms of the preparation for this match. But hopefully they respect my decisions, because I've got to make decisions, and I've got to leave somebody out. But I just want them to know that we are all in the same situation, and we are all going to win it or lose it.
Will you pin a team sheet up, or will you go around to players one by one and tell them the bad news?
No, I'll tell them personally.
Whatever today's result, Chelsea's foreign policy could be up for review. They need the trappings that a place in Europe brings, but first comes success at home. The man at the very top demands it, and won't be made to wait.
In football you can't stand still. The moment you start growing, you start decaying and going back. And one of the dilemmas I think in all football clubs, and it's a good manager knows when to shuffle the pack.
Good morning.
You've only got 1 year left on your contract, so when do you start talking to Mr. Bates about another contract?
We haven't talked about that yet, but you said you've got only 1 year left. I would say I've got 1 year left. It's more than enough to see how it goes, to prove that I'm the right man to continue this job. So 1 year can be a long, long time. And again, I'm not looking for any other jobs. I hope that Chelsea at the moment is not looking for any other managers. So I want to get better. I want to do this job well, and I want to take this club to, nice places.
Plays up front with him, and Flo will be on the bench. Terry Venables, your view on that? Melchiot, incidentally, comes in for the injured Ferrer. That's no surprise.
No, it's not. No. I think that Zola and Weah is a good selection. I think the two of them together play well. Flo will be disappointed because he's done very well recently, and it must have been a really tough one for the manager, but I think he's right.
Here this afternoon. Now, as we approach kick-off in the next part of the programme, we'll be featuring one of the most interesting confrontations in the match today.
I am in England and I want to win something, and it looks like the FA Cup is something really important. I can see it when we played against Newcastle, the semi-final in Wembley. It was something really exciting for everybody. You cannot compare even the World Cup with Champions League and Champions League with the FA Cup. I mean, it's all magnificent to win. I mean, winning it's all the time magnificent.
But to this point, this season, Chelsea have won nothing. Glamorous company, great expectations, massive stakes, long faces, no prizes.
We can say that we were expecting something more from this season, because when you look at the table, we finished at the 5th position. And I mean, it's not the position of Chelsea. We could really do something better. I will say it's a medium season. A lot of emotion, but we need the UEFA or the Champions League, but we didn't have any one of this one. Then that's why we really have to win this game. Otherwise, no holiday, no money for the club. For us, I mean, the next season is going to be less interested when you don't have any cup.
But the FA Cup in itself, do the Vialli's multinationals really get it? Do they dream it?
This makes me laugh. I mean, it's important for us, like the English one, only that we don't have the culture. I mean, I'm not born in England. I don't have the culture of the FA Cup, like something really unbelievable. I can die for it. I mean, for me, I'm professional. This is the first thing. I'm professional, and I know how it's beautiful to win. To be English or not English is not important, because I heard a discourse of somebody who said Aston Villa will be more motivated than Chelsea because there's more English in Aston Villa. This is wrong. This is wrong. We have the opportunity to win. Then, as a professional, it's the same. The motivation is at the same level.
It's pretty strident. Marcel Desailly, who could have a testing afternoon because he'll certainly encounter Villa's leading scorer, despite the fact he was out for weeks with a serious...
One of the main reasons he's come on is the players around him. He plays better with better players around him. And as he said earlier in the interview, if you can't play with some of the guys, and that's
in the plans for the renewal of Wembley Stadium. Sloping Wembley Tunnel, which will now echo to the last nervous claps of the hands, shake of the hands, shouts of encouragement before the players leave the backstage area. Each year we scan the faces for signs of edginess or intent, but it's the expressions that those faces wear when they return to the tunnel around 5 o'clock which will tell the story of the day. Wembley certainly going out with a bang. Nearly 600 teams entered, and now there are just 2. You know, Chelsea and Aston Villa met in the Premiership at Stamford Bridge way back on August the 21st, the very day that this season's FA Cup competition began at St Helens and St Leonard's and St Neots and elsewhere up and down the country. But this is the long walk that footballers' dreams are made of. Have walked the walk as players. John Gregory behind Terry Venables in a Queen's Park Rangers team. Gianluca Vialli behind another ITV panellist, Ruud Gullit, as a Chelsea substitute 3 years ago. 2 of the last 3 cup-winning managers hail from mainland Europe. Indeed, only one Englishman, Joe Royle, has managed a cup-winning team since Terry Venables back in 1991. It's 50-50 today. Gregory with an arm around the 10-year-old son of the club's General Secretary, Steve Stride. What a moment for young Master Stride. national anthem of only one member of the Chelsea starting 11, their captain, Dennis Wise. Well, at the start of the Chelsea Flower Show,
we'll see two teams that are very close to each other that may just hinge on a bit of individual brilliance by a Zola at his best, by a Carboni at the other end. I tell you, it's a very hard one to call. Obviously, I'm going to go for Aston Villa, but it's going to be very hard to call two great sides or two smashing sides. I tell you what, Clive, I think the other thing that a little bit sad if you consider this is going to be the last cup final, because when you look round and when you know those foreign players reacting.
The FA Cup final remains a state occasion, part of English heritage and national treasure, but by way of a side bet this afternoon, there are costly European repercussions for the loser, and there will be a loser one way or another. And interesting that Roberto Di Matteo, who's usually scored in the cup final by now, has started for Chelsea on the left with Gus Poyet on the right, and he's going to have quite a height advantage over Alan Wright.
Yeah, I can see that. I would think they'd be looking to switch a few play. The point from the centre midfield, switch it out on top of Alan Wright, and Poyet is very good in the air, as we know.
Headed by Dion Dublin, turned away by Frank Leboeuf, forward by Gareth Southgate. Here is Mario Melchior, playing only his 6th match for Chelsea. Gareth Barry, the youngest player by some distance in the final. Melchior's header, Deschamps. We've got a real clattering there from Ian Taylor, and the attentions of Taylor and Boateng with their contest with Deschamps and Wise is going to be one of the features of the afternoon.
Yeah, neither of those quartet are going to get much time on the ball in the early part of the game.
Leboeuf seeking out George Weah, turned away by Ugo Ekior. Almost came for Zola. Wright had to deal with it. This is Dennis Wise looking for Poyet. Wright's in the way. Melchior there ahead of Mercy. Now Deschamps. Now Poyet. Here goes Melchior. Taylor gave Poyet a little bucket after the ball had gone too.
Tell you one thing you can guarantee, we're not going to see the ball in the air much. You may see crosses, I'm talking about in general play. Both teams like to get on the ball, play through midfield. To a certain extent, Chelsea will try and fly it onto the, particularly from Leboeuf and Desai, they'll try and play long aerial stuff. But there'll be passes, they won't be just dwelling it.
Lisa Carboni getting amongst it. This is Celestine Babayaro. Dennis Wise, caught by George Boateng. Didn't like the decision. He felt he'd won the ball. The referee didn't like the tackle or the reaction.
Well, he's in like Flynn there. Oh, he has gone straight through Wise. Rapid to the ball, and definitely a free kick. Wants to button it a little bit. I think in a league game, I think Graham Paul would have given the sympathy vote there, definitely. Have a little bit of retribution in the course of the game.
Here is Poyet against Wright in the air. Chelsea finished 5th in the Premiership. Villa 7 points behind in 6th place. It's only the second time since the mid-80s that two top 6 teams have contested a final. It is a match well made. Here's Boateng. Desai.
I think interesting selection as well. I mean, the George Weah selection was a bit of a late shout. I mean, every one of us assumed that Andre Flo was going to play up front. But Weah played against Villa fairly recently and had an excellent game. Gave them all sorts of problems.
Probably the paciest forward on the field. Here's the tallest, Dion Dublin. Beaten to it though by Marcel Desai. George Boateng. Deschamps having a nibble at him. Here's Mark Delaney. It's tasty in midfield. Dublin let it go. Carboni tried to strike it. Blocked by Frank Leboeuf. Di Matteo riding the attentions of Boateng. This is George Weah. Gianfranco Zola. Weah tried to collect it very cleverly in his stride. Southgate back to James.
That's the sort of skill that deserves to come after. That was phenomenal by Weah.
Deschamps to Babayaro. Sharp challenge by Delaney.
Look very confident, Chelsea. I know we haven't played sadly long ago, but certainly all their big players look to be well up for it.
given away by one of those players, Zola.
I don't think you'll find either. Villa don't chase games. Villa are quite happy to sit this arc of 5 at the back and be very patient and try and get on the ball and keep possession when they've got it. But they won't go and try and attack non-stop.
Carboni won it in the air. Leboeuf cleared. This is Ugo Ekiop. George Boateng. Paul Merson came to him rather sharply.
The other thing I wonder, Dean Dublin's always done particularly well against Frank Leboeuf. And I just wonder whether he'll try and push himself on. If you think back to the semi-final, how Alan Shearer did against Leboeuf, it was almost as if they said, let's try and isolate Desai and leave him without a defensive job, if you like. Make Leboeuf do all the hard defending.
Wise dispossessed by Dublin. Caught Dion Dublin. Merson trying to get on the ball. Hampered by injury for much of the semi-final and wasn't a major influence in that game. Leboeuf dispossessed by Carboni momentarily. Desai with a no-nonsense clearance, although he's found Zola. Here's Weah, played behind Deschamps. Now Poyet. Zola is onside, but well read by David James. Dublin underneath it. All given away by Leboeuf very carelessly. It's Carboni. Just about his range in the FA Cup, that. Charged down though by Desai, who gets his fellow countryman off the hook.
Been interesting to see whether he could have stood one over Ed De Hoy. I mean, he is a massive goalkeeper.
Gustavo Poyet rather misread the run of George Weah, and Roberto Di Matteo didn't gamble on the run down the left-hand side. We can argue all day about the last great Wembley final. What's beyond dispute is the catalyst that an early goal could provide. 2 in the first 10 minutes when Coventry beat Tottenham in '87, a goal inside 5 minutes when Liverpool won that Merseyside final of '89. Manchester United was soon behind in the 3-3 draw with Crystal Palace 10 years ago. The day often needs a push start. Southgate. Ed De Hoy has hardly been involved to this point.
But the one thing Villa are short of in the striking areas, I know they've got Joe Jim on the bench, but they're short of blistering pace. And really Chelsea can afford to squeeze up from the back because Dion Dublin's not really going to outrun them from the halfway line. Carboni can run with the ball, but he's not lightning quick.
Coached forward by Babayaro. Wright looking after himself in the air. Carboni looking after his defensive duties. Smuggled away by Barry.
I think as the game develops, and Villa do tend to get into the top half of the field, we'll just see how fit Ian Taylor is, because he's so important when he makes those surges and drives into the box. Invariably when the ball is wide and Villa are attacking, Ian Taylor is always arriving between the strikers. He's missed a lot of football recently, and Wembley is a place that finds you out.
Who was sent off here in the semi-final against Bolton Wanderers. Merson finding only Babayaro. Above to Deschamps. Well seen by Ekiu. Gareth Southgate. Clipped into the corner towards Carboni. Babayaro's quite useful in the air.
Yeah, very often gives you the impression when he comes up the corners, Babayaro, he always seems to be around the danger area. Gets a little touch on things, or he gets, certainly in Europe, he must have had a number of attempts in set plays.
Here is Celestine Babayaro at 21, the youngest player in an ageing Chelsea side. This is the newcomer Melchior, Dutch under-21 international. Barry. Desai had time there. Chelsea have settled the better, no doubt about that. Ooh, and he wasn't well Leboeuf expected him to be.
Yeah, but this is not unusual for Aston Villa, you know. They just sit in there at the moment. They're prepared to soak up pressure, as you say. Yeah, Chelsea have looked accomplished. And just listening once in the commentary there, you've gone Deschamps, Weir, to Zola.
Well, two good players, haven't they? Poyet. Here is Zola. Taking on right and skinning it. Good run by Zola. Well met at the near post by Southgate. White with the volley. Right down the throat of David James.
Good moment there for Chelsea. Some great skill by Zola. Takes right to the cleaners. Possibly couldn't stand it up a little bit higher. And then this Buddy Holly's a great one. Unfortunately for them, straight down the throat of the keeper. They're moments that, you know, it gets good adrenaline flowing from them.
We should have subtitles to some of the things you say, Ron. It was a volley. Carboni. Right to Barry. Aston Villa just looking to get a foothold in this game. Levert beating Dublin to it in the air, but it's broken from Mark Delaney, and now Paul Merson, and Delaney has gone on here and turned it towards Dublin. Now Levert did just enough against him because it is a corner kick.
That was a great interception from Frank Levert. I just wonder whether he'd have got a goal here at Dublin. Good interplay, good first time ball in. Dean's got across the near post, and it looks from there as if Dean's headed it over. He's actually headed it onto Levert, or Levert, to be fair to him, has got a second header in. Good play from the Villa. Another good moment in the game. Certainly, it's setting. It would be intriguing. There's been enough events in it as well at the moment.
Paul Merson will take this corner. In towards Ekiop, but dealt with by Poyet. Boateng wrestling Zola out of the way. Combative start by George Boateng. John Gregory says he's a Dutchman who plays like a Brit, and he certainly puts his clog in, does Boateng. There's another Dutchman, Melchior. Anchoring the Chelsea effort, this triangle of French World Cup winners. Deschamps, but Taylor got it back. Merson couldn't quite keep the ball in. Taylor was a little unfortunate not to get a free kick. Deschamps just arrived a wee bit late.
You're never sure whether he's a late tackler or that's as quick as he can get there. But whatever happens, even if he misses, he does seem to make contact with somebody.
It's amazing, you know, Chelsea have had 7 different captains this season, and the World Cup winning captain is not one of them, or his vice-captain in the French team, Marcel Desailly. Almost as if Deschamps had enough to worry about catching the drift of the English game. By his own admission, he was très fatigué at the turn of the year without a winter break. Boateng, lost his footing just for a second. Hugo Ekiong. Run from midfield both by Boateng and here by Merson. Support from Delaney. A long way to catch up there. Di Matteo was late arriving with the challenge. But Merson had Babayaro isolated to himself.
I think what was good there, nothing gone for Hugo Ekiong when he had possession. All of a sudden is the challenge now. Yeah, it is late. All of a sudden Boateng ran forward, ran the back line back from Chelsea and opened space for and gave Hugo Ekiong options.
Ekiong is on the edge of the box along with Taylor and Dublin. Southgate's up there too. In towards Ekiong. Boy dealt with it at the expense of the throw-in. It was kept in by Melchior. Dublin. Ed De Hoy finding Gianfranco Zola. Delaney not finding the dummy. to Deschamps, but Boateng managed to get a foot on the ball, and here goes Paul Merson. He's got Boateng ahead of him. Deschamps made a challenge. Boateng chases the ball, and so too does Desailly.
Merson thinks he's been fouled there, but I think if he had, the referee's played a good advantage. Maybe John Gregory said to Boateng, you know, you go on a few surges, let Ian Taylor sit in, and let's not risk his injury. Ian Taylor just do a lot of the dog work, and you drive forward. But they're both, when they're on the game, they've both got the energy and both got the power to do it.
It's a difficult afternoon for Di Matteo, playing out of position on that left-hand side. He's conceded another free kick. You see John Gregory whistling for the roll box. I'm not quite sure that's the done thing up there, John.
And this last free kick, I watched Dublin, you know, he tried to block Desailly off here.
Merson takes. Free kick was blocked this time.
Yeah, he made an early run, Dublin, and then just checked and blocked Desailly and tried to make some space for one of his other mates to get into.
Leboeuf. Deschamps. Milk gets a good outlet for Chelsea on this right-hand side. Ware's made a break down the centre of the field. Poyet's up over his shoulder too. Desailly. George Weah, little glancing header, encouraging Melchior to burst forward. Gianfranco Zola takes. In towards Marcel Desailly. Did get a touch, but Dion Dublin managed to propel the ball clear. Here is Melchior. And as far as Alan Wright. It's broken for Merson. Space for Delaney on the right-hand side. Both the right fullbacks finding avenues to break forward into. Di Matteo had straight offside, but the assistant on the near side sensibly keeping the flag down. It is only fair to warn you that the two Premiership games between Villa and Chelsea this season produced a grand total of 1 goal, and it was an own goal to boot. Both sides defended better than they attacked on the whole during the season. Only Liverpool conceded fewer goals than either. The padlock may take some picking this afternoon. Poyet just jumping into Barry. He is already Chelsea's most successful trophy-winning manager. He won the Worthington Cup here in his 9th game in charge. He's added the European Cup, Winners' Cup and the Super Cup, but still Gianluca Vialli seems to be craving recognition and respect, judging by his comments in the build-up to the final this week. So much recognition and respect, though, wearing Chelsea blue in his selection this afternoon. Massively experienced players. Melchior almost caught out by Barry's willingness to get forward, and now the young Dutchman's going to see yellow.
It's not even an argument, is it? He didn't know whether to take the pace off his first header, cushion it or bring it down. He's paid for his mistake there.
Two defenders with a yellow card to their name. Is Southgate, Taylor, Dublin, Ekiog in that order.
I think they'll try and skim this off Leboeuf's head, just skim it above his head.
Merson takes towards Taylor at the back post, jumping against Fabiaro. It is a corner kick.
Another example, another good defensive work there. Taylor has got in, Fabiaro stayed against him, stuck to his task, and managed to get a secondary lock on the header. So it's not too dissimilar to the one Leboeuf did on Dublin.
Dublin's on the line next to Edgar Hoy. Merson drives it in. Stripped away by Poyet, who's a useful ally inside his own penalty area with his aerial ability. Barry right-footed back in towards Dublin. Leboeuf grew but couldn't control the header. Carboni trying to make it difficult for Babayaro. He's desperate to get it onto his favourite left foot and take that route out of danger.
One thing neither side's getting at the moment now is a decent service into the front players. I mean, I'm watching Weir and Zola. They're having to make fairly average balls into good ones at the moment, where they want good possession. Two players like that, good possession would frighten any defence in the world.
Headed by Taylor, challenged by Lambert. This is Boateng. Flag is up, I think probably against the retreating Dublin, who was in the action area. Zola, flag against Ware this time.
Marginal, that one. He was off, but marginal. That was a better ball and a good timed run almost. But Villa playing a dangerous game if they allow that with no pressure on the ball to let him stand one in there.
Not your average footballer, George Ware. He's put his native Liberia, indeed put Africa on the football map to a degree. He's had his hand in his pocket to support sport and relieve poverty in his homeland. Desai's heading clearance. Back to Gareth Barry. Southgate seeking out Delaney. Came off the shoulder of Di Matteo, and handball has been given, interestingly, by the referee, who was much further away from the incident than his assistant.
End product of a very good ball, this from Gareth Southgate. Fortunately, he's not in the penalty box there. And it was a deliberate handball by the look of it.
Possibilities for Aston Villa. Merson takes. George Ware back inside of his own penalty area. Melchiot jumping well. Deschamps helps it on its way. Back in by Delaney. Desai has to react. Flag is up. Dublin was behind Desai when he headed it. Dion Dublin seems to be in some discomfort too.
You know, I watched him on a couple of occasions. That's something that they're not getting clean headers away at the moment, Chelsea. You know, I think Vialli would be looking for a little bit more power from Desai and Lambert when they're heading it, getting more distance on it. Just watching Dion Dublin on a couple of occasions when he's been on an attack and it's broke down. All right, he's been in offside position, but he's tended to stroll. Whether he's conserving his energy, having played a lot. I think Southgate at the moment, by the way, has probably kicked the ball more than anybody on the field. Made a few timely interceptions, and he's hit two great cross-field balls to bring either wing back into play.
He had 4 weeks off after the semi-final because of a troublesome ankle injury. He's been back in the swing in the last 3 games. Boateng. Wise wrapping his leg around Dion Dublin.
Chelsea have lost a little bit of that crispness. When they started off early on there, they're quite crispness about their passing. Now they've just kind of been, whether it's Villa pressurising them a little bit more.
If you've just joined us on Cup Final afternoon, we're not only goalless, but pretty much chanceless. Nobody has had an opportunity which they really should have taken. A lot of Dublin. Nudge in the back there on Desai, but no decisions. Graham Poe did look across to his assistant for some assistance.
I think Desai's first game in the English Premier was against Dublin, you know, and that's a foul by Barry, by the way. It should have been. And I think he was a little bit surprised at how good Dion is in the air.
Well, awesome is one of sport's overused words, but when the mood and occasion catches Desai, his power and presence are awe-inspiring. He is a mighty man, a superman, although sometimes there's a feeling that it takes a big game before he goes into his telephone box and turns into the player he can be. This is a big game. Double into Merson.
Certainly getting plenty of the play now, Villa.
Delaney.
Getting their wing backs high up the field. They're trying to switch it from side to side.
Wise caught Boateng. Tit for tat. Barry's found right. And now Barry took a deflection on the way through. Lambert reacted. Gianluca Vialli there. John Terry and John Harley, both on the Chelsea substitutes bench this afternoon. Chris Sutton hasn't made that bench. Offside. We saw a look there on the face of John Gregory too, which rather summed up the opening 27 minutes. Plenty to think about and consider. Not much to laugh about, I don't think, but he's enjoying itself. Messi went down rather late. Abayara put his arm up as if he was expected to be penalised. Nothing doing. Has got a little bit scrappy now after a promising start.
I think what's happened here, the Villa midfield players have pushed right into the game and haven't allowed the Chelsea midfield players time and space to play anything.
We're trying to change things, winning a free kick. Di Matteo takes. Deschamps helps on.
They're making them hurry the ball, aren't they?
It's Villa's way. Melchiot. James all came for it, and some days he's colossal and some days he is calamitous. John Gregory insists he is one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and there are days when you wonder how he ever makes a mistake. He said he felt unbeatable here in the penalty shootout. He looked unbeatable, the size of him, but last time he played at Wimbledon a couple of weeks ago, the very last minute of the game, he made a brilliant save to concede a corner and then lost the corner completely and conceded a goal. And
that particular game he was under a little bit of pressure, wasn't he? I think Southgate or somebody got nudged into him. But looking at that one, I mean, there wasn't a blue shirt anywhere near the ball.
There are two sides to David James, that's for sure. De Hoy's had his moments this season too. It goes with the job. Desai.
Just off good ball, just pulled on his shoulder there, George Weah. He's done it a couple of times with that angled ball. Pulled on the shoulder of the last man. This is close.
He's probably been the most menacing forward on the field so far.
Yeah, you just feel, certainly if you were Gianluca Vialli, you'd be thinking, get the ball to him, get him there with good possession.
Controlling that on the shoulder. Poyet. Well, Gianfranco Zola has a lot of things, but that kind of shearing pace is not on his CV.
He wouldn't have got his CV, he wouldn't have got on his Lambretta, I don't think.
Plenty of action in the trenches.
You know, in the build-up they were talking, the boys in the studio were talking about Poyet, you know, about how he's never in the game, he doesn't do this, and then he appears and scores great goals. At the moment, I can hardly remember him having a touch of the ball. He seems to be around the edges of the game without actually making a contribution.
He's gone back out on the left-hand side too now with Di Matteo on the right. Well, he started the season with a stunning goal, because Poyet, he started the FA Cup campaign, his first FA Cup campaign, interestingly, with a hat-trick, 2 in the semi-final here. Generally looks Chelsea's most likely scorer when you see them play. But once or twice in big games, he's been left on the bench.
Well, he just forced the issue there against Hugo. And at the moment, set plays, particularly corners, have looked the best opportunity for both sides. They've all got some good headers and some good movers and some good deliverers.
It will be Dennis Wise's corner when a little bit of the argy-bargy has been sorted out in the middle. Ian Taylor and Gus Poyet just introducing themselves. Still going on. Wise takes.
Now that was a far harder ball. That's a brilliant take, isn't it? You look at that and having seen the first one, you think, whoa.
Will the real David James please jump up? Carboni won it from Deschamps. This is Boateng. Chelsea have got men back goal side. Southgate. Dublin.
I think what you've also got with both sides, particularly the Villa, will be prepared to go to the last kick of extra time to win it.
Last kick of a penalty shootout last time we were here.
They're a very, very durable side. As I say, they're not a spectacular side, but they do keep pegging away.
And it's an FA Cup final that's been played pretty much at arm's length for now. Either side able to get at the other. Di Matteo. Zola had pulled wide, but Delaney got between Di Matteo and Zola. Boateng taken late by Deschamps. They're testing the referee's patience.
Tell you what, Clive, that's a brilliant decision from Graham Poll. We've looked to all the world. Deschamps hasn't got to do him there. He's done him with his ability, Taylor. The last little body swerve there was... And I think the referee, Graham Paul's gone along with that. That might not be much consolation to Ian Taylor, though.
I'm sure Graham Paul referees every game objectively, but you don't want to get a half-time in an FA Cup final with half a dozen yellow cards issued. Booked 3 so far, Barry of Villa, Melchior and Wise of Chelsea. Zola. Deschamps. Clipped back in towards Zola, but Delaney was taller. Deschamps won it back from Merson. This is Babayaro. Desai, it's very narrow. No option at all to his right. Zola pulled out to the left.
Yeah, you sometimes think that with Chelsea, do you? We've seen an awful lot of them this season and seen probably their best performances. Sometimes feel, let's see if we can get on the end of this. If they had a flying machine out in one of the wide positions, a natural flying winger, they wouldn't have to give them an alternative.
Chris Sutton might agree with you. Here's Poyet. Deschamps has to go back to Desai. Gus Poyet. Zola making a break. James is committed way off limits. But it was a good judgment in particular instance.
Great judgment, because I tell you what, if James had stayed somewhere near the penalty spot, that would have fallen right into Zola's run.
LaBeouf. Good quick throw by James to Barry. The blue boots belong to Benito Carboni. No foul. Zola, a bit of acceleration, running into traffic in the shape of Ugo Ekiop. Paul Merson. That's a clever little interchange with Dublin. Carboni in support. Merson has gone on. Away by Desai. Poyet. Zola. Babayaro has gone on down that left-hand side.
It's almost like a game of chess, isn't it? Both teams trying to test each other. Neither prepared to try and give much up.
Haven't had a piece taken yet.
I do feel it's that George Weah gives me the impression that if he could get the ball in the danger area, good possession is John Gregory.
John Gregory started the afternoon up in the stands with the intention of staying there, but clearly it's not going according to plan. I don't think it is for either manager. He was banished from the touchline in November, and by his own admission, he was 1 or 2 games away from being banished from his job at that stage, and now he's got a new 3-year contract and a place on ITV's Euro 2000 panel. Can't get much better than that. I'll spend the summer with Des Lyon. Free kick. Very central. whether Frank Leboeuf would fancy a crack from here.
Might be well worth a chance, you know. Might be well worth a chance.
Wise into Poyet. Well, Ekiov was very, very close to him. Not sure how much contact he made with the ball, Hugo Ekiov, but the pressure on Poyet prevented him from doing so.
Wide awake, wasn't he? Got across quickly and made sure. I mean, what bright free kick. And it's a safe bet that if Poyet had been unattended, he'd have got his volley on goal.
The flag was raised because Ware was coming back from behind Southgate.
I think that's a very valid point you made, you know, about the European thing. I think both teams are so aware of the importance of that neither are taking great risks.
The FA Cup winners claim the last UEFA Cup place. And if the FA Cup winners are Aston Villa, they will demote Chelsea to the Intertoto Cup. Ware looking for Wise, who was up with him, but Boateng didn't really want to get back with him.
Yeah, I think Wise actually took a space. I think if he hadn't made that run, I think he would have forced Ware to go on his own.
Giving away to Poyet. Now Zola. Wise is still forward. Ware is free. It's Gianfranco Zola on the ball. Well, Aston Villa have got men around the ball so quickly.
Yeah, they back tackle from midfield, and the defenders can deal with 1v1 situations quite well themselves.
Carboni almost setting an example for the men behind him there. Boateng, not that they need much encouragement. Poyet's chance header has fallen here for George Weah. It's a disappointing conclusion to a promising situation.
Yeah, that's the best opportunity he's had to do something there. Jock is in well there. I mean, this is done because they've got nowhere to go up front, Villa, and they're forced to play a cross-field ball. Gets intercepted. Now, I thought Weir would certainly duck back and have a go at it, and it's a something nothing. He doesn't know whether to have a shot or to stick the ball in there for Zola.
I'd say that both teams did well to survive their semi-finals here. Newcastle found some Wembley form, but no luck against Chelsea. Villa survived that first FA Cup shootout here. One or two stray Bolton bullets. The cast list for the afternoon could have been different.
Well, they haven't performed well in the last couple of years, Newcastle, when they've been here, but that would have been a different sort of a match. Newcastle, with all the passion that's instilled into them now and driving play against one of these teams that play with very much patience and don't commit too many people early, put them to forward positions.
It's almost like the first leg of a match, this, isn't it? Di Matteo. Ware was running against Ekiov there, but Southgate came between them. Now Poyet. Babayaro.
Goes back with Poyet.
Dion
Dublin's tracked him back.
Total encouragement for Aston Villa. Space for Alan Wright. Carboni. Wright just coaxed in towards Merson. Got there ahead of Leboeuf, but couldn't control the ball under pressure from the Frenchman.
Yeah, clever ball that from Alan Wright. It looked all the world when it was cut back to him. He's just got to sling it in towards Dublin. Played a nice little ball short, and full marks to Frank Leboeuf. He was certainly on his toes. From there, you think that's a one-touch ball into the box, but a little ball down the side. I think Merson should have been a bit stronger.
Right in the last 4 minutes, 1-2 going for an early cuppa. Carboni got back and tripped him.
He made a point earlier, you know, the lines were what, a yard away from there, didn't make any decision. And it was a very blatant chip, you know, I mean, full mark. It wasn't even an argument, that one.
Wise trying to take it quickly, but Jerome Pole insisting that it's taken from the correct spot. Well, even the ball boys have nodded off here.
Funnily enough, although it hasn't been one of the most, by a long way, one of the most exciting games you ever see, there's a fascination about it, and you're waiting for one of the good players to really, really explode.
Zola in towards Desailly. There's an explosion from him there. It's the evenness of the match, really, which is its interesting element.
I think young Barry does well here, stays strong against the cross. Desai is in there, but there's a lot of strong-minded players, particularly in the, if you like, in the battle areas. Central defenders and midfield players are all very strong-minded players on both sides.
Wise. Di Matteo. Hooked in early. Zola is waiting underneath it, but again, Delaney has height and reach advantage. And Zola has fouled it.
I certainly think in Chelsea's case, if they were losing at the moment, I think you'd see a lot more offensive play from both fullbacks. I mean, Melchiot has come forward up from the berth, having his little lie down. Seen that a few times.
You know, I attended the Chelsea press day during the week, and there was a moment in the press call when Leboeuf likened winning his first medal here in 1997 to losing his virginity, in so much that he said it was easier to win the next time. And Deschamps was sat next to him, and he just put his head in his hands and started shaking his head, and even his fellow countrymen despair at Leboeuf's excesses and extravagances at times.
If you look just back at the replay of that, he's got the tangle job, he's gone past his own goal, he's turned round, come forward 5 yards and thinking, hey, I better fall down.
But however thin his Gallic charm does wear from time to time, the man has style. He's got poise in his play. He's a very good passer of the ball. The indication this morning in the newspapers, what no, is that this may be a swan song performance from Frank Leboeuf. I don't think he'll want to bow out just yet.
Not as a dying swan, anyway. No, the point I was going to make just before that incident was Babayaro, I think, is a very good player when he comes in the top half of the field. Hasn't been forward at all yet. Melchior looks as if he's an explosive type, and at the moment they're just sitting in alongside their own two central defenders. But I think if they're chasing again, I think you'll see those bombing forward. They give the ball away a lot to Chelsea as well. They're trying that diagonal one over either Villa fullbacks, and they haven't had a lot of joy with it at the moment. See, they really can do that, Chelsea, because Villa don't have anybody running on. When Dublin competes in the air, provided he doesn't knock it back towards his own support players, they might as well let him just touch it on, because it will just run onto the keeper every time.
Playing the one added minute at the end of a disappointing first half. It's an even contest. It's been well fought and well matched. Plenty for the two managers to think about, but it needs a tonic, it needs a catalyst, it needs a goal at half-time in the AXA-sponsored FA Cup final of 2000. The scoreline is Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 0. As very graphically pointed out, the real difference to the footballers is that pre-season training begins on July the 17th if Chelsea are in the UEFA Cup. It begins on June the 26th. They're in the Intertoto Cup. And now the hotels in Marbella will manage. Poyet starting on the right-hand side at the start of the second half and winning the ball from Barry. Here's Weah. Wise. North London's been bathed in light cloud for much of the afternoon, but we've got the traditional bright FA Cup final sunshine for now.
Certainly the brightest thing on view at the moment, isn't it? We could do with a good spark.
Delaney with a header forward. Away from LeBeuf. Down by Taylor. This is Delaney. Now Dublin. Into the path of Merson, who's been on the fringe of things so far. Given away by LeBeuf to Ian Taylor. Deschamps made a good challenge. Desai forward. Barry there ahead of Weah. Now Alan Wright. Taylor is forward alongside Dublin. It's in towards Ian Taylor. Well, he has an eye for goal.
And that's certainly his forte. Ball out wide, the wing-back course, or one of the left-handers pushing forward, ball in early, and him splitting the strikers, getting in between the strikers. A bit like Terry Venables was talking about Poyet.
Scored a good volleyed goal for Aston Villa on this ground in the League Cup final of 1996, Ian Taylor, when they outplayed Leeds United. Poyet's header. Zola. Now Poyet. Offside, Di Matteo.
Yeah, an unnecessary offside again. I mean, Villa have held a good line. They certainly did in the first half, but Chelsea have helped them by running into offside positions too early. I mean, Di Matteo could have hung on to his run a little bit longer there.
Get it far wrong, in fairness to him. It was a close one. Came off the back of Deschamps. Merson claiming it. Trying to take the ring road round Melchior, but he's a very strong, athletic young defender. He's conceded a corner kick.
One of the few occasions that Paul Merson has sparked. You know, he seems as if he's almost been disciplined to stay an awful lot on Babayara on the right-hand side.
Taken short this time to Carboni. Now Merson delivers. Gareth Southgate with the header. Got up above Melchior at that time.
Yeah, good work, corner. Short right into Merson's path. They run the big defenders under the ball, and Southgate comes in late. Can't quite direct it. There might be people say he should have directed that towards the corner of the goal, but he was being well jostled there by Melchior.
He's a very intelligent, lucid, reasonable, rounded sort of a man. He's got a sense of humour too, as we saw in the pizza out, Gareth Southgate, but he's deeply competitive. Very demanding individual, demanding of himself and those around him.
Yeah, at the moment there's not a better player on the field than him, I don't think, Clark. It's a pity because you don't want to see the last defender as the best player on the field.
John Gregory on his way back. Going straight up the 39 steps back to the posh seats.
Oh, if Taylor could have looked lefty. Alan Wright had made a great break on the left-hand side.
Deschamps poked it forward here to Zola, and now Weah hit first time. That's the closest straight that we've had. Explosive hit from George Weah. Typical Chelsea move.
Yeah, you might say, could he have taken this on? Nice little slotted ball from Zola, but the lad's got confidence. He's played at the highest level. Nice little threaded ball outside his right foot. Best ball he's had all match. Good shot. I've got a feeling James had that covered, but certainly Chelsea's best moment.
Oh, that sparked the game.
And it has to be said, one of the few opportunities, one of the few instances where one of the strikers had a decent ball to work on.
But Chelsea have not been a team with any real width all season long, but sometimes when they work the ball through those narrow passages down the inside forward channels with the precision and the speed of their passing, they can make opportunities like that.
Yeah, and they get people playing in, if you like, central areas. Zola does it. Torrente Flo does it particularly well. Makes the width from from in to out, as you say, but Villa have blocked a lot of those avenues out today.
There's a late challenge there by Gustavo Poyet, which has got him into trouble. With Boateng, now what happened? What's happening? We've got a yellow card for what followed. The Villa Air Force are forward. Merson takes in towards Ekiov, but ball sailed over everybody and safely into the hands of Edgar Voigt. Poyet, now Deschamps, now Wise. Zola, Ekiov in pursuit. Physically, it's a bit of a mismatch there.
He's got a great belief in himself, you know, Ekiov, as a defender. I mean, he won't be a great respecter of Zola. A lot of people think he might have taken him on, the little fella might have done the big guy there, but to be fair to Ekiov, as you say, he just ran him into the touches. Almost brushed him aside.
Yeah, I spent a bit of time in his company during the week, and very, very single-minded individual. Single-minded about his right to be in the Euro 2000 squad, as not committing himself to Aston Villa unless they can reward him with some success. Flags up. Only on the way back. That's who? Scrap inside the centre circle. Who emerges with the ball from Herrero Scrap? Dennis Wise. Baba Yara. Again, though, 25 yards in from the touchline. Exchange of passes with Di Matteo.
First time I've seen him, I think, in the attacking third, Baba Yara. He can make things happen, as we've seen in a lot of the European games when it comes to the top half.
Leboeuf with time to pick his spot here. And Dennis Wise is in there, and Southgate defended that cross well. Leboeuf running back from Merson, hit by Di Matteo, came off James, Wise! It's the goal that the game needed! It's come from the Chelsea captain, Dennis Wise! Now, it's been disallowed. It's not going to count. Southgate got it away, Leboeuf knocked it back in here to Di Matteo, and was where offside when he hit it?
I think that can be the only decision. Now,
whether he's active or not.
Doesn't that bring things into perspective about active areas and non-active areas? I mean, to all intents, normally, you know, when a goal is scored, one of the first things I always do is look towards the line, see if there's an infringement. I never even gave that a thought on that particular occasion.
I don't think Dennis was off. I think it was George Weah, and I just wonder how active he was in that particular incident.
I also wonder, you know, Clive, a lot of things have happened for the Villa on the cup run this year, and I wonder whether that's another significant thing for them. It's certainly a significant moment.
Twice behind against Leeds United in a cracking match that we saw live on ITV.
First team ever to come out with the, what do you call it, with the, if you like, the wild card, Darlington.
Well, that was your fault, you made the draw.
What it should get some adrenaline flowing now, though.
Here goes Zola. Play.
You know, as that move was developing, I was watching George Weah. You would have thought Zola, if he'd have got onto it, here's the occasion.
Now there, I think Weah is maybe just offside. White is clearly onside, but how much a part of what followed was where, really.
Ooh.
That is a difficult call.
I don't think anybody in the world would have pointed a finger if the linesman had kept his flag down.
It's very difficult for him to make any kind of value judgment about Weah's contribution. He saw him beyond the last defender and the flag went up. That's simple. But he was only just beyond the last defender, if he was.
I tell you what we will get now, we'll definitely get a livelier game. That might be the point that turns the pump up a little bit now. Warning to the Villa and Chelsea, be that aggrieved, I think they'll start getting a lot more energy into the game.
The ladies want a corner kick.
And by the way, we're talking about lines, we're talking about George Weah, we're talking about offsides. We haven't mentioned the fact that it's also been a big boost for David James there, hasn't it?
Did come back off it, didn't it?
Oh, we should have. Well, he'd either got a little bit of stick if it had gone in.
Merson takes. Headed down by Dublin. Deschamps trying to find it. Southgate trying to find it. Di Matteo does find it. This is Barry. Toss straight back at Babayaro. Straight at Southgate. This will come for Merson. Ian Taylor's still in there. It's towards Dion Dublin. Couldn't quite reach it. Melchior away. George Boateng. It's got away from Deschamps. Boateng hits it. Under pressure though. Corner kick. Both teams now, a few afters there, both teams attacking the end of Wembley, behind which the majority of their supporters are gathered.
Yeah, he's definitely, Deschamps left a leg in there, and there has been a little bit going on with Deschamps. I just think he's not a particularly quick player, Deschamps, but he commits himself totally and very often catches the player.
Boateng's blood's been boiling from the first minute though. Another Aston Villa corner. The game is coming to the simmer here. Merson takes. Came off Deschamps, ironically. Boateng hits it. Rather tamely through to Ed de Hoy.
You know, it's the first look I've had at him. He's been impressive to me.
Looking back through the records for a player who made an FA Cup final appearance so soon in a club career. Les Sealey is probably the record holder. It was only his third game for Manchester United when he played against Crystal Palace in the replay. But you picked young Alan Davis for only his fourth match for Manchester United in an FA Cup final.
Yeah, that's right, and the kid did very well. I think the week later he got an England cap against, sorry, a Welsh cap against Brazil. But certainly this lad's done, because Ferrer's been a smashing player of them all season. I mean, you like, when a player has to miss an occasion like this through injury, to sympathise with him, but like Melchior, he seems to have stepped into his place, and he looks a very, very good prospect to me.
Well, you say into his place, he's really a midfield player. Poyet. Now Zola, hooked in early towards George Weah, and a good one too by Ekiok. Deschamps back to Wise. Gustavo Poyet. Headed by Barry.
It's a poor ball in. You know, when they've got into the attacking third, they've got to produce better balls than that.
Poyet down to Di Matteo. Celestine Babayaro. Confronted by Mark Delaney. He made the challenge. Free kick from Merson.
I think what tells you as well that there's still nerves about. Very often the ball's in the air. We had an instance of Babayaro just earlier defensively, and where I think in the normal league game they pull the ball down, they're afraid to pull it down. They're just heading it, and they're not always making good clearing headers.
Carboni runs straight into Dennis Wise. Fabulous challenge on Alan Wright. Cross from Zola in towards Weah. Weah wide. A really good chance for George Weah. And the look on Gianluca Vialli's face was that of, is this going to be our day or not?
Great challenge from Wise. Phenomenal ball in from Zola. And with all the will in the world, he's under a little bit of pressure from the defender. I think it's Delaney making it to the ground. But he should slot that easy. He should tuck that away. Once again, I just wonder whether that's ominous.
The game is an hour old, and Chelsea have had a goal somewhat debatably disallowed, and now have wasted the best opportunity of the FA Cup final. Wise, who had the goal chalked off. Delaney to Carboni. Leboeuf did well then. This is Deschamps. Wise was caught late by Ian Taylor. I think that key in the back of Dennis Wise's back has been well wound now. He's got a yellow card to his name. He's had a goal disallowed. He's going to have to watch himself. Poyet. Weah well challenged by Southgate. Taylor. Boateng has made a good run down the inside left channel. Instead it comes right to Delaney. And there's nothing but a cul-de-sac for Mark Delaney down there. Birmingham remains England's second city. The West Midlands had half a dozen teams in the top two divisions this season, but Villa are the first for 13 years to appear in an FA Cup final. Coventry were here in 87, West Brom in 68, Wolves in 1960, Villa last in 57. Birmingham City in 56 were the last West Midlands team to lose a cup final. But you know that area very well, Ron. It's home to you, and it's been a relatively barren spell.
Yeah, I mean, surprisingly in the FA Cup, because the Villa, I mean, when I was a...
That's Zola, in towards Weah, trying to take it on his chest. Oh, and James did well there. Chanced his arm a little bit, attacked the ball, and rode his luck and made a good decision. Deschamps down. Chelsea looking more and more threatening. Wise on the ball.
Yeah, certainly the second half's been Chelsea's in terms of threats and that, and I just wonder, I think a few years ago he'd have done better here. There is attention paid, full marks to James. He's had his moments of indecision and today, but that's a very, very brave save, a very vital one.
John Gregory down at ground level.
And you've got that saying again, you don't score in your best times, do not encourage the opposition.
Boateng. Carboni.
Yeah, early on you're making the point. Villa were traditionally, when I was a kid, like schoolboys and whatever, Villa were traditionally an FA Cup side. You always, you know, people said, oh, they never win the league, Villa, but they do win the FA Cup. And it's surprising how long it's been for them to get here. Oh, yeah, they've won the European Cup, you know, one or two other things.
Indeed. A few League Cups under the guidance of the man sitting next to me. Here's Dennis Wise. Gianfranco Zola.
He's been a lot more, that's a good ball, that.
Wise to Zola. Looking to turn Barry, who stood up very well and didn't commit himself.
I was just about to make the point that Wise gives me the impression now that you said he's tired of this wound up at the back and things like that, but he's the one that seems to be making things happen. He started to go on a commission, going quite where he fancies.
Leboeuf joining in. Tried to lift it towards Weah, who is offside. Got a feeling the cast list is going to change in the next 10 minutes or so. I think both managers have got to look at their options now.
Yeah, I think it would definitely have to be. I mean, I love Vinny Carboni. I think he's a smashing player. Hasn't happened for him today. They haven't had enough attacking play, Villa, for him, and he hasn't had enough good service. So, although Stone and Hendry warming up a little bit, but. Joachim would seem to be the favourite to try and add pace and stretch Chelsea back. I certainly think Flo will come on. At one stage, you know, I'd like to see Flo come on and maybe take one of the defensive destroyers up, if you like. Try and play three of the Weah, Flo and Zola, but I've got a feeling if he does come on, it'll probably be a straight swap for George Weah.
Melchiot's header. Poyet exchanging passes with Wise. Melchiot striding on. He is a galloping individual. Managed to force the ball back to Wise.
He could drive it forward, you know. He could carry the fight. I'm sure of that. Looking at him, he looks powerful, fast, and
Babayaro in towards Di Matteo. Quite sure which part of his body to use to propel the ball goalwards.
Yeah, it's an ugly ball coming over his shoulder. He didn't quite know where he was. When it's in flight, he doesn't know whether he's going to get clattered either. In the end, he does nothing.
Chelsea's favourite Italian restaurateur, Roberto Di Matteo. The Barolo will be flowing his establishment if Vialli's victorious.
Tell you what, I think Chelsea have got to score very shortly to be in the game. Having that much of the play now, if they don't score at this moment, you think Villa will have their time. Chelsea are getting people forward now. They're running from midfield. Probably Villa would be happier going into extra time than Chelsea.
Melchiot to Wise. Right down, Carboni on the edge of his own penalty area.
Here's another one of those ploppy little headers, though. There's been a load of those today where defenders haven't been convincing with their headwork.
That wasn't one from Desai.
You know, there's times, I'm sure if that had been Villa Park, then Alan Wright would have just stepped a yard back, taken it on his chest and put a pass in.
It's the Villa bench which is particularly animated at the moment. Both John Gregory and his coach Steve Harrison making regular visits to the touchline, trying to make themselves heard and get their points home. Julian Joachim continuing to warm up. Leboeuf drifted towards Poyet, who's back against Wright on that Chelsea right. Well won though by Boateng. Dublin trying to help it on, asked a lot of George Boateng. It was a lazy flick really from Dublin.
Well, I think Poyet is a very integral part of Chelsea's play, but at the moment I think they'd be better with another striker in his position. He doesn't seem to be, not much is happening for him.
It's a good ball from Leboeuf. Babayaro. Midpoint of the second half, and Villa maybe now beginning to wonder if they've weathered Chelsea's best spell. Dublin with a flick on. Carboni won't reach it.
No, to be fair to the Villa are looking very short of real ideas. They look as if they're just trying to stay in the game. Chelsea are the team with the ideas at the moment, but they haven't produced.
Di Matteo, Delaney though guiding it back to his goalkeeper. Steve Stone receiving instructions from his manager by mobile phone.
What do you think Shanks would have thought about that?
Chance for Aston Villa to make a connection here with a free kick. Maybe 10 paces outside the penalty area.
Little Alan Wright wandered over. If he cracks the one, like I think you were at the game when he whacked the one in against Tottenham. Yeah.
I have to say Villa scored 3 of the most wonderful goals you can imagine in the space of 5 minutes in that match at White Hart Lane last night. Southgate belatedly joining in.
They're overloading them there for Southgate in late.
It's Merson towards Southgate, and now Dion Dublin. Well, it was an arcing header which was never likely to trouble goalkeeper always goal. Southgate down in need of moving up. It's got Carboni, but Desai
That was phenomenal defending, because he started to go with one player and then has to get back, because I think Carboni was going to give it that the full run. I think Southgate to me has possibly been the best player on the field at the moment, but yesterday he hasn't done much wrong, has he?
Want to be the one to tell him if he had. Here's
This is
Melchior.
I like this fella.
This is Babayaro. Melchior has gone on here. Oh, it's a clever turn, trying to get away from Ian Taylor, who's having none of it, but he has fouled Mario Melchior.
I'm not so sure it was a foul. Referee's very close to him, Paul, and he's ref the game brilliantly. But I think after that little bit of skill, he's entitled to something.
Bit of a grapple, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
I think it's a slip and a slide, but full marks in that Melchior. He's come, he's driven the game. He said played a lot of games in midfield.
Zola to take. In towards Desai. James lost it, and it's hooked into the net by Roberto Di Matteo. Chelsea in front. Third time Di Matteo has scored in a Wembley Cup final. It's a big, big goal for Chelsea. It's a bad, bad moment for David James.
Clive, have a look at LeBeuf on this. I'm sure he does. As he's whipping it across, an angel shot. LeBeuf has torn in, and I think that he may. All right, the keeper has dropped it so that it'll all point fingers at him. But he ain't half got a crowd seat to deal with there. There's about 4 blue shirts have run in front of him. Delivery's brilliant. Great area. You might question again now whether it was a free kick. I wasn't so sure that Melchior's little bit of a trick that got him pulled down was a free kick. What it does mean, Villa have got to drive and show a lot more initiative than they've shown.
A goal by an Italian international thrills another Italian international watching on the sidelines. Roberto Di Matteo, a record-breaking goal here in the 97 FA Cup final. An extra time goal against Middlesbrough in the 98 Worthington Cup final. And now it's Di Matteo who's broken a very solid deadlock here in the 2000 FA Cup final. Merson. Won by Wise. Southgate. Delaney's header. LeBeuf and Deschamps did just enough. Here is Roberto Di Matteo. Ware went tumbling ahead of him. Di Matteo's pass miscued. He's had a difficult season with injuries. This is his moment.
This is an ugly goal for the keeper. To be fair, and LeBeuf, and he's got help there. Di Matteo as well, got in that. Good reaction to it. But I thought LeBeuf, as soon as the sun setting off, he arrived, he went on about a 10-15 yard run to get in that position, LeBeuf, and I think he had a lot to do with James not seeing it. Hey, if you want to be the best, you've got to stop them. But sometimes, you know, it is very, very difficult for a keeper in that situation. But there's the lad Melchior. He's the one it was his drive across the field, then a little trick that may or may not have been a free kick, but it's his initiative that caused the situation.
Merson's free kick. De Hoya is this time, and Carboni hits it goalwards. But Chelsea have a man on the line, Frank LeBeuf. One goalkeeper gets away with it just moments after another was so completely punished.
Yeah, it fell to Benny's left foot and he's a bit off balance. Once again, it's keeper's there, he's been beaten. Safety, but he hasn't really put any oomph into it. That's the best chance.
What an irony. Merson's free kick in towards Dion Dublin. Good defending again by Marcel Desailly.
But it's still that little knockdown here. Whether when they play in Italy, you know, they're so used to sort of just dropping little balls off. For the older viewers, we call it a Ray Wilson type header.
Desailly, excellent again.
Yeah, he's been immense. He has been immense, to be fair to the fellow.
Zola. Now Deschamps. Offside. Offside.
Tight. Did Ekihog, I think he might just have been offside, but did Ekihog step up as the ball's in flight? He's playing it now.
Yeah, I think it's level.
Ooh.
At least.
Oh.
I just wouldn't want to have to be the guy with the flag making the decision, having said that.
It is hard, but...
Wise towards Zola. No support for now. Zola decides to go alone.
That's been a little bit more apparent this half. Chelsea have got a little bit more joey down the sides of defenders. They've been able to play a few telling balls. Certainly still not the most convincing performance we've seen from Chelsea, but here we go. So let's throw the dice.
Two of them. Zola's won a corner meanwhile.
You just look at that, you wonder where he's going to bring Taylor off, whether Taylor's fitness will go against him. And he's going to play two attacking midfield players.
Well, they're still mopping up where Carboni kicks and splashes his way out in a very public paddy in the semi-final. He would be a candidate.
They've emptied the bucket, by the way. I think he'll be all right this time.
Wise takes in towards Di Matteo. It's Doublet who's defending the near post. Boateng is there.
The other option is whether he brings a fullback up and puts Steve Stone on as an attacking right fullback. I think it'll possibly be Taylor, although he can score a goal.
Steve Stone on the left, Julian Churchill on the right. They're both imminent. Headed by Barry. Right. Pushed by Boateng on Poyet, and here come the Aston Villa changes.
Here's Taylor.
Ian Taylor, who's had so little football since the semi-final because of injury.
He seemed to be limping earlier. Sorry, he seemed to be limping earlier as well, Clive. You know, just as he's gone up, he's appeared to be.
And it is Benny Carboni who will make way for Julian Joachim.
Yeah, what it does give them, of course, it gives them a bit more thrust. Steve Stone will run on, and he may run off the back of the likes of Deschamps.
Well, Joachim played all of the semi-final and had two excellent chances in the first half of that game. Stone here played most of the semi-final, ironically for the injured Taylor. Leboeuf. Away by Ekion. Delaney to Steve Stone. Boateng.
Yeah, he'll be the fulcrum now. Just he'll do the central holding job, although I don't think he'll do a lot of holding. This will drive forward.
Barry.
And this fellow Merson has got to produce some of his magic.
Gus Poyet back on the edge of his own penalty area. Melchior helping out. This is Alan Wright. Driven against Melchior. And again. Zola. Caballero is on his way down the touchline. I think Chelsea's certainly capable of doing is keeping the ball. Melchior in towards Di Matteo again.
I'm absolutely staggered watching that move, watching Zola didn't try and catch up, whether he's physically gone a little bit. But I thought, go on, gamble. The ball looks sure to miss the two of them.
Stone to Merson. Trying to add some urgency now for Aston Villa. Alan Wright with the cross. Easy for head to Hoyt. Carboni now no more than a spectator as he played his last game for Aston Villa.
In his defence, you have to say that A, they weren't attacking much, Villa, and B, had little or no service. And forwards will tell you they've got to have service.
Well, it looks like the Carboni caravan may be on the move again. He's not 29 till August. Somebody will come and buy him. One or two Italian clubs are reputedly interested, but Aston Villa have not finished their negotiations with him yet.
Oh, he's a good player. I mean, all right, unfortunately, two of his least effective performances have both been on this ground. But they have been at times when Villa haven't played particularly well in terms of creativity.
Weah's header into the path of Zola. Di Matteo's getting there again. It's George Weah taking on Ekion.
Almost a brilliant first touch, wasn't it, Clive?
Poyet. Zola wasn't expecting that. Certainly wasn't wanting it.
Don't think there's been any question in the second half. fact that Chelsea have been far and away the better side. As I say, Villa were playing hanging on. They had the moments of good luck. The offside goal, the chance that Weah missed. But Chelsea have played with a lot more brightness. The midfield players have run on a little bit more. And the guy doing it, I think, has been quite instrumental as well, Melchior. But well, there's only a goal in it, Clive.
Poyet to Babayaro. Deschamps. A few years since anybody's come from behind to win an FA Cup final, I can tell you. Score of the first goal has won the last 8. And there is the score of the goal, and what an irony that Dennis Wise, it's Zola's free kick, and David James's error under pressure from Desai, which led to Di Matteo scoring from close range.
What there doesn't look about the Villa at the moment, and I understand the clock's ticking away, they're a goal down, and there hasn't looked this half, there hasn't looked that same sort of, oh, he's going to be lucky, Boateng. I think the referee's just giving him one last sort of reminder. But there hasn't looked quite the belief the second half. There's a spell in the first half where they looked as if they,
Zola got in behind Villa. Barry managed to defend the near post, he's got some more defending to do. It's Zola, back to Poyet. This is Weah. Babayaro. Get out by Stone. Paul Merson, Leboeuf speedily across.
Had a great second half, Leboeuf. I thought first half he might have been a bit iffy. Second half, he's had a great second half. Been very quick across the ground to the ball.
Wise. Looking to get Weah on his way. James comes out. Barry almost gone his way.
Tell you what, that was an awkward moment. Three of them, and none of them in a happy situation.
They pointed the finger at him a little bit for that Cantona goal, which ran the '96 final for Manchester United. He was a little unlucky that day. Punched a corner against Ian Rush, and it fell for Cantona to thump in the closing stages. But that's the microscope that goalkeepers live their life under.
Yeah, I sympathised with him on this one today a little bit. It was oh, there's that lad again.
Melchior. Now Weah. All the way back to Babayaro. Di Matteo. It's awkward. It always looked as if it was going to drift over the crossbar, but it's easy for me to say.
You couldn't really see Delaney letting him go past him like that in the early stages of the game. Funny, I thought Villa would have outlasted Chelsea better. I thought physically they'd have been stronger. But this still represents the best chance. Free kicks, balls they can load into the box. They don't look as if they're going to work the way through, do they? But they look as if they might be able to load something in.
Sooner rather than later is the message for Aston Villa. 5 minutes remaining. Dublin on towards Southgate. Leboeuf didn't quite get to the pitch of the ball. Broken back into the area, but Poyet's there. Di Matteo. Well, they've been branded fancy downs in some quarters, one or two of these big-name Chelsea players at times during the season, but they realise now the prize which is within their grasp, and they're defending manfully. Southgate. Charged down by Dennis Wise.
Eki Hawk stayed up as a centre-forward. Whether he's going to continue the last 5 minutes up there.
Well, even Joshim could catch up.
He's going back on station.
You know that Chelsea may well target the Championship next season, but they remain most people's idea of a cup team, and no wonder. At least one major cup semi-final in each of the last 7 seasons, 4 trophies in the previous 3, FA Cup, Worthington Cup, Cup Winners' Cup, European Super Cup, cups that have run over into expectations of more and more success, but there are only 4 competitions to play for each year, and Chelsea are in touching distance within winning another. Zola. Weah waits. Di Matteo joining in. Wait by Mark Delaney. Throw-in is the verdict.
They've certainly got enough players in the side that know about winning big matches. I don't think you'll see them just kicking aimlessly into the corners. I think they'll be working the ball.
Poyet. Zola. Turned away from Barry. Still Gianfranco Zola. Roberto Di Matteo. Gustavo Poyet.
He tried to walk it in sometimes. To be fair, they hadn't really got anybody in the box. Zola would have, he's had it about 3 times where he's gone past the last man on the left-hand side, looked up and all he's seen is claret and blue shirts.
And another claret and blue shirt about to join the fray in the shape of young Lee Hendry. He had 1 kick in the semi-final, you remember, Hendry. The penalty in the shootout. Torre Andre Flo is going to come on too. Alan Wright gives way to Hendry, who's had an injury-plagued season. Torre Andre Flo will replace George Weah. A guest appearance by one of the legends of the game here this afternoon. It may well be his last for Chelsea. He's 33 now, Weah. Still a Milan player. But what a part he's played in their season. Torre Andre Flo in the week of his wedding.
What he will do, this fella. Did I read somewhere where his bride to be is a Villa fan as well?
Well, Randy, as she's named, is reputedly, or was reputedly, yes, I know the line, but don't say it. Deschamps. Here is Flo. Di Matteo. Melchiot. In towards Flo.
Henry's gone on straight as a replacement for Alan Wright, but obviously to play as a left winger and not as a left wing back. Barry's got the responsibility of going across the left-hand side now.
Ticking towards the 90th minute of the 2000 FA Cup final. Chelsea lead by Roberto Di Matteo's goal. Southgate. Dublin. Babiaro is able to allow the ball to run out of play. Di Matteo. Ecchio. Runs loose though to Gianfranco Zola. Here's Dennis Wise. Another big moment in his career is beckoning.
I think he was one of the big factors in the second half, Dennis Wise as well. Started to drive forward and make things happen. Big head of that from Roberto. Legitimate gamble and Dublin winning it.
3 additional minutes to play. Deschamps tackled by Southgate. Now Merson. Now or never for Aston Villa. Merson trying to jab it infield to Hendry. Broke off Boateng, ironically. Now Stone into the path of Merson. Leaving Zola off the ball. Melchiot has the final say again. Aston Villa throw. Roared on by their fans, becoming increasingly desperate down that end now, Aston Villa. Steve Stone. Tackled again by Mario Melchiot, who really does look one for Chelsea's future.
Oh, I was just thinking I'd like to watch him a bit next season.
Boateng. Southgate. Thrown hopefully into the box, but Desai deals with it again, out as far as Barry. Retained possession. Crossed in towards Dublin, it's Gustavo Poyet, the last man.
Gregori again. And up towards Ekiov. Oh, it was a pretty good chance that for Ugo Ekiov. I think he was in two minds as to whether headed back or headed in.
I think what he's looking for really is to try and keep it in the danger zone. He's got right up there. I mean, it's a hanging cross. When it starts off, Edgar, he was sort of half coming for it. And really what he's going to try and do is keep that one back in the danger zone. Just put it across the face of the goal.
Jody Morris is about to come on. Every Chelsea fan just waiting and praying for the whistle, the last whistle of a long season of sensational highs and lows. There's a yellow card, I think, for Gareth Southgate.
He wants to stop arguing. There's a minute left and he doesn't want to be one of the few players that gets sent off in a cup final.
Well, Zola is going to make way for Morris. I think it's almost a tactical substitution now, just to waste a moment or two. We're very, very close to the conclusion, where Zola's career will conclude is another issue. All these issues can be settled when the Chelsea hangover is clear.
He's had a good second half, Zola. He's gone wide and worked the ball.
Here's a goal kick.
So it's slow upfield on his own, everybody else at the back.
Last throw of the Aston Villa dice. Desai's in the way again. Stowe looking for Jochin. Came off the arm of Mario Melchior. It will be a free kick to Aston Villa. Precious little time remaining. And David James is on the way forward from the back here. Merson takes. It's towards James. Oh, Dublin was there. He felt he was impeded. There were a lot of players between the referee and the incident. Babayaro is involved. Oh, there's no goalie. Oh, I take dispossessed. David James is stranded upfield. It doesn't matter. Blue is the colour. Chelsea have won the cup. Their season is a success, official. And Roberto Di Matteo is again a Wembley hero. All that investment of money and of faith and of high hopes which seemed to drain away in Barcelona and in the closing weeks of the Premiership season has paid a silver dividend. Chelsea, FA Cup winners, for the second time in 4 years. The favourites have prevailed.
And certainly on the evidence of the second half, well worthy of it. They played very, very well. They were a disappointment in the first half, but second half they played with a lot more drive, and really Villa were disappointing second half.
The thoughts of Chairman Ken are there for all to see. Touch of emotion. Let's hear from the man who is about to collect the FA Cup, Dennis Wise.
Dennis, congratulations, another Cup success. First reaction?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's fantastic for the punters, for us as a club, because we needed to get in UEFA. And there was a little bit of pressure, and we played well today. It was first half was very scrappy, but we're pleased. Over the moon about it.
A much better second half for you, but what about the goal that was disallowed? You must have thought that was going to be the winner.
I don't know whether it was offside. I don't know whether I was offside.
No, Weir was offside, just.
George, was
he?
I was just a bit disappointed. That's the way it goes. So be it. We won.
And after all the... Yeah, all right, mate, well done.
It's a third...
On that. I mean, there's been a lot of disappointing performances, particularly in the creative areas. I mean, Paul Merson hasn't really produced anything, has he?
Here's the winning manager, Gianluca Vialli.
Luca, you've got a trophy to go with your season.
Yeah, this is obviously the best possible way to finish the season, which has been long and tiring, but at the end we finished with something. It's a fantastic way to finish, and I'm very pleased with everybody that's been working so hard during the season. We got a lot of stick, sometimes within the spirit, and this is the reward that you get when you work so hard.
You are just finally the most successful manager in Chelsea's history.
Am I?
You are.
Thank you. But I want to go on for another while and win something else. Thank you.
Important goal for you.
Oh, yeah, no.
While Vialli, Di Matteo and Zola remain the only three Italians to play in an FA Cup winning team. There was talk of Di Matteo returning home at the start of the season, but there's no amphitheatre quite like this. And as I was saying a little earlier, he is a restaurant owner in West London. Di Matteo, he has an Italian establishment quite close to the Chelsea ground, and I would think that would be a fairly good place to be tonight. It is another cup of plenty for Chelsea. 5 trophies in 4 seasons, all won in cup finals. The knockout kings from the King's Road. I'll give him a bit of time to think.
I was going to say Southgate early on, but you have to pick a Chelsea player. I would think the man that influenced it as much as anybody, Desai was magnificent. Leboeuf played well second half, but in a funny way, I think Dennis Wise influenced the second half. I think he drove the game forward, he got his tackles in, and he started going beyond the strikers. And I'd give it just about shade Dennis Wise ahead of his 2 central defenders and the new right back. I like him.
Well, it's his 4th FA Cup final, but at first at the heart of the action, he was Wimbledon's right-hand man in '88. He played up against John Barnes. He was Chelsea's left winger in '94 and '97, but where Dennis Wise belongs is with his finger on the opponent's pulse, a finger in every pie. He is the busybody midfield player, and he's busied himself here all the way to an FA Cup success. Let's hear from Frank Leboeuf.
Frank Leboeuf, another FA Cup final, another winner's medal for you.
Yeah, it's great, fantastic, and another clean sheet also. I'm so pleased because I think on that match we really deserved to win. We had many chances, especially in the second half. The first half wasn't so nice, wasn't so pretty, but I think at the end of the day we deserved to win.
There's been a bit of criticism of the Chelsea this season. The Champions League didn't go quite right. How long are some of you experienced guys going to hang around? So, is this reacted to a bit of that criticism?
That's the only answer you can give, you know. Win on the pitch when you have an important game, win a title, that's it.
What about you staying finally, Frank? You staying?
I hope so.
Well, this is the moment for Chelsea. They have been in the mainstream of European competition in each of the last 3 seasons. 1 quarter-final, 1 semi-final, 1 win. That was a factor today, but the trophy is the big factor. That is the prize. And Dennis Wise, who has never done anything by halves, an infectious captain whose career has occasionally been infected by his own competitiveness, but no Chelsea captain has ever lifted more prizes. And today he's landed the Star Prize again. And has he got some company there? Well, it's the end of a Wembley era and the start of a little man's life. Or is he going to put the cup?
He's going to put the youngster in the cup.
The FA Cup is back in Chelsea hands. Dennis the Menace has written a perfect ending to their season. And it's a family affair. They've all got the children with them. Roberto Di Matteo, the winning goal scorer. Ed De Hoy, who escaped an awkward moment himself just minutes later. Frank Leboeuf, complete with offsprings. All the heirs to the fortunes are there. Gustavo Poyet. Didier Deschamps, who lifted the World Cup for his country a couple of summers ago. Marcel Desailly was immense. Celestine Babayara, one of the few youthful elements in this side. George Weah. Mario Melchior, who made a real impact in his first FA Cup side. Little John Harley, whose time is to come, and John Terry, another youngster on the bench. Then Torre Andre Flo in the week of his wedding. And just to prove that size doesn't matter, Graham Lasso will hopefully be back for Chelsea next year. The last two up, Gianfranco Zoe in front of him, Jody Morris. And there's the Italian who is the reserve keeper, Carlo Cudicini. And here's the boss. He said he assembled a team for the Champions League, that was his priority. It didn't quite happen. Now he will buy British and go for the championship next year. But his hand is strengthened so much by the fact that he and Ken Bates have got something to show for what has been a good season for Chelsea. 7 minutes away from the European Cup semi-finals. Always a factor in the championship race. But now, the man who played 2 minutes of an FA Cup final has become one of the select band who both played in and managed an FA Cup winning team. And tomorrow morning will be a real celebration when Chelsea and their trophy head down the Fulham Road, starting at 11:30. It's been a long, long route to get there, and now anything goes. Let's join Gianfranco Zola down on the pitch.
Gianfranco, congratulations. You love holding that English Cup, don't you?
Oh yeah, I love it very much. I think it's a great honor to be here lifting this cup. And for what we produced in the game and the season, I think we deserved it. Nothing, I have to say well done to Villa, because they've been a very honourable opponent. But I think in the end we deserved it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, we knew it would be tough. Chelsea being the favourites normally never win, but they did it this time. They've done it.
And obviously, given that this is the last cup final under those famous Twin Towers, really must add to the importance of this occasion.
Well, it's very important because it's the first one of the millennium as well, isn't it? Chelsea have proved themselves again. Best team in London.
Do you think Manchester United have been missed from the competition?
No, not at all. They wouldn't have got this far anyway.
Now, Aston Villa obviously haven't won since 1957. Your hearts must go out to them.
No, not at all. They had 90 minutes of football.
You can be sure of that. They won the last Wembley Cup final, the first of the millennium, by a 1-0 over Aston Villa. Good performance in the second half in particular for them. That's right, Terry Venables, isn't it? I mean, the first half was pretty dire. And,
oh yeah, poor. But second half they controlled midfield like we was hoping they may do from the beginning. There's no doubt about
Ron
it.
got it right with man of the match this week.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Then his second half was exceptional. Zola played well as well. But that now gives all the doubters there. That makes their season an excellent season for me.
And he too, after a few moments of doubt, came good, didn't he, Leboeuf?
Leboeuf played well. I thought actually the other centre-back was equally as good, if not better. I thought Desai had a very sound game. But the game definitely changed direction in the second half, Des, and it was basically down to Dennis Wise, I felt. I think he took the game with a scruff of the neck. He made passes, he made some tremendous tackles, and I thought Zola, I wanted a bit of win from Chelsea in the second half, and I think Zola gave us that. Yeah. And I don't think anyone can doubt they deserved the victory.
They seem to have hordes of children between them anyway. Roberto Di Matteo was the man who scored the fastest ever cup final goal here when Chelsea won the cup 4 years ago against Middlesbrough. And of course he got the winner today. Let's hear from him.
Roberto, congratulations, that was another important goal for you.
Oh yeah, not only for me, for the whole club, for the supporters. I mean, it was so important today to win this game.
Roberto, we're now going live. That was a really important goal for you today. Another important goal at Wembley, the winner.
Yeah, not only for me, it was important for the whole club, for the supporters, and for the future of this team.
Were you surprised how the chance came to you, James dropping it just in front of you?
Well, I thought before the free kick, I thought, well, he might just drop here, but I was very lucky, to be honest.
What does that mean to you, Chelsea players? Because a lot of the players in this side don't know whether they'll be here again next season.
I mean, it's just great. I mean, it's an unbelievable sensation, feeling to win the FA Cup, and to score again for me is just, I don't know, I think just, God, he likes me.
Thank you very much.